I've been on this whole black and white mixed with color kick lately. Can you tell? Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. Today I am demonstrating this owl that I have painted in acrylic paints. I used Liquitex Basics for the owl and the bubbles. For the background, I airbrushed that with createx airbrush paint on a Frederick's Convexo canvas. Now the Convexo canvas does have quite a bit of tooth, more tooth than I like for fine detail, so what I do is add a couple of coats of Liquitex gesso, and then I sand it down so I've got that nice smooth finish, which gives me a better surface for the fine detail that I like to do. If you are supporters over on Patreon, make sure to head over there where the 1-hour version of this video is available for you guys to watch now, complete with voiceover. I am starting by painting a solid dark blue, just phthalo blue mixed with black color on my entire canvas. Once that dries, I'm using the airbrush with white paint to get my dots and my circles. I'm using the white first because it's really opaque, so it will completely cover the dark blue that I had already painted there. I'm using a circle stencil to get the more defined circles there. Now with the Createx airbrush paint, I am glazing the colors that I want, or it's not really glazing, I'm just airbrushing over. It works the same as a glaze because these colors are so translucent. You can still see all of the circles that I had already painted behind them. Once I get that done, I paint in the tree trunks. This is just a light gray. Then I am going to use another brush that is slightly damaged, so it creates a lot of brush strokes. Notice that these lines are slightly curved. They are not straight lines. If you do flat straight lines, your tree trunks are going to look flat. So there's a very subtle curve to all of these. I'm using various shades of dark gray, black, and then white for the highlights. I use a hairdryer to dry that. Once that is dry, I add a shadow with the black airbrush paint. And now I'm painting in my owl one solid color. I have him drawn out on a piece of tracing paper, and then I use transfer paper to draw him out onto the canvas. So initially I just drew the outline, painted that in solid, and then used the tracing and transfer paper again to transfer his face onto the canvas. This keeps my work nice and clean as I work. So whether I want to freehand or I want to trace, I'm going to use the same method so that everything stays nice and clean. For the feathers, make sure that you are following the direction of the feathers on your reference photo. Don't just put a bunch of random lines all over the place and expect it to look natural. You want to make sure these are all going in the right direction. I'm blocking in my darks and my lights. Once those are blocked in, I can come back through with a smaller brush and start refining my details. Make sure you pay close attention to those feathers around the owl's beak. You don't want to skip over those. How long or how short or the direction that these lines are going in completely determines how these feathers are lying on the owl's head. So make sure that you're following that direction. I know I say it all the time, but you've got to follow the direction of the feathers on your reference photo or it won't look right. Now moving on to the body. What I like to do is first block in the larger sections, and then I will start coming through and working on the smaller detailed areas. I'm using a fairly large brush for some of these bigger areas, and then I'll come back through with a liner brush to define everything better. I like to break things up into different sections. So here I'm working on this outer area of his wing. And then I'll work onto his back. Now this is a huge layering process. It is so much easier if you're doing feathers like this. Think of it more in terms of abstract shapes than trying to create each individual feather. You want to make sure that you've got a lot of variation in there. If it's very even and all your lines are straight and all the same, it looks too uniform and very unnatural. This is when you really want to look closely at your reference photo. It might be easier for you to paint it upside down so that you can really view it as the abstract shapes that they are instead of trying to create feathers. Now, while I don't worry about every single line being in the exact right place when I do feathers like this, I still want them to be close. So I'm spending a lot of time looking at my reference photo to make sure that everything is going in the right direction, that my feathers are as long or short as they should be, or each brush stroke is as long as short as it should be, I should say. This isn't something where you're going to look at your reference photo once, have it memorized, and just hit the canvas. Constantly look at your reference photo and make sure that you're following the movement on that photo. Now, everything I'm doing right now is mostly straight black and straight white, so it is very flat. I'll come back later and define things better and get various shades of gray so that I've got more dimension in the piece. I don't want this to look flat in the end. Now, one thing I see happen a lot with people when they're doing something like this with so many crazy patterns in the feathers, don't just randomly start putting lines and dots everywhere or start stabbing the canvas with a sponge type brush. That looks terrible all the time. You want to follow your reference photo. Really look at that. Where do these shapes go? Where are the shadows and the highlights? While you don't need every single line exact, you still want pretty close. In this reference photo, if you are interested in painting this specific owl, you can purchase it from wildlifereferencephotos.com. I'll have a link to that below in the video description. I have so many great photos to paint from there. I'm using the airbrush to apply my shadows. I'm going to come back through with the white and soften some of these feathers up a bit more. One of the things that happens so often when you're painting feathers like this with acrylic paint is they come out looking very, very wiry, too stiff. So by using that airbrush to go over it, I was able to soften it up a bit. Another option would be to use just a glaze of paint of the black and the white. I don't recommend, if you're doing something in black and white like this though, don't use the transparent mixing white or zinc white if you're working in oil paint, because it has a blue tint to it, so it kind of kills the black and white look. Here I'm sticking with titanium white and Mars black. For the bubbles, I do have a video showing you guys how to paint bubbles, and I will link that in the video description. But essentially, they are darker on top and lighter on the bottom. And then I've got a highlight on the top of those. If I did not get the tops dark first, then that highlight isn't going to show up enough. I'm not filling them in solid black and white though. You can see some of the color through it from the background. And then I am glazing color, which is a little bit of paint and a lot of water, over the detail that I just did so that they look translucent. I don't want thick, heavy paint there, or it covers up everything I just painted. Then I put highlights on the top of the bubble and underline them with a bit more white. And that is it. Thanks for watching. Again, if you are supporters over on Patreon, make sure to head over there where the 1-hour version of this video is available for you to watch now. If you are new to my channel, I have new video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings or drawings, my own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday, social media tips for artists each Thursday, and artist vlogs every weekend. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Google+, all those social media sites. The links are below in the video description where you can keep up with news and my newest work and see real-time clips of whatever it is I'm currently working on. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the social media vlog. I was laughing so much while recording this video because I'm watching my dog sleep and she just randomly keeps lifting her head up and looking out the window behind her, and it's really cute. So let's just go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. Jessie, have you been working hard? Wow, this is shaky. Have you been working hard, Jessie? Why do you have a dingo standing up? You look ridiculous. What are you doing? You're on the video. Say hi. Thanks for watching. Again, if you are supporters over on Patreon, make sure to head over there where the 1-hour version of this video... Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. It is Tuesday... No, wait. That is the wrong video.